Hey guys, and welcome to my energy assault weapons tier list. I know the tier list have died out and all, but I noticed that no one has made one yet, and I wanted something to do. So, I made my own tier list on all weapons and energy assault. At the time of recording this, I'm currently level 101 and have 30 hours played. I also have all the guns and have at least 100 kills on each, so I feel that I can make a full tier list on them. I will be supplying gameplay, stats, and my opinion on all the guns and will give recommendations on which ones I feel you should get. Okay, well, let's get started. So, here's a tier list I actually made myself, because I noticed that no one had made one yet. So, as you can tell, some of the names are cut off, but you can see the guns, so I feel it's alright. So, we're going to get a couple guns out of the way, being the Intervention, the Dragunov, and the SKS. These guns, they're just awful. The Dragunov is one of the first ones that you can get, and it's just not a good sniper compared to the other two. Intervention still isn't that good. But the SKS, it's just, semi-autos kind of suck in this game, so that's also why it's there. And the Intervention, it's, you want to hit feeds and clips, like that's your gun, but it's just so slow, it doesn't fit the entire aura of energy assault. So that's E tier, that is everything there. Okay, so now that we have the E tier out of the way, we're going to be going from the M82 all the way to the VSS, excluding pistols because they just deserve their own list, they're not very good. So, the M82, this gun is nuts. It's a one-shot headshot, 2 shots to the body, and it really lives up to the 31k coins that it costs. So, I'm going to put that one in a fat S tier. The only downside is that if you can't aim, it's just don't use it. It's not worth it. Just stick to the AA-12 or some other normie gun. So, the Chris, it's not exactly my favorite. I would much rather use something else over it. It having the fastest fire rate in the game being 1200, but it's got very low damage and it also has very low ammo capacity. So you're basically going to use a whole mag for one person unless you time your shots perfectly. So I really don't like it. It's going to be at a C tier for me. Alright, now the Scar is a really good gun for your first starting off. It's got decent ammo, it's got really good damage. Like now that with the new addition of attachments, you can actually have a scope on it, so I actually like it a lot more. And it can compete with some of the other really good guns in this game. So for that alone, it being free too, I'm gonna have to give that an A. Well, the AA-12, it's really good. There's not much needed to be said here. This thing kind of just, you will hurt people with this weapon. Like, you will drive them insane. That's an A. No need. We're judging by the gameplay here. It's too good. It probably needs a nerf. It's got crazy range. They did nerf it from a 20 to a 12 round. That's good, but it did not stop it. This thing still destroys. Alright, the AK-12, this gun, it's not good. Just use the AK-47. Granted, they're both really not even that good. But the AK-12, it doesn't have very good damage. It doesn't feel good. It's got a slow fire rate too. Unless you're hitting constant headshots, it's not gonna perform very well. That's a D. Now the AK-47, however, it's a lot better than the AK-12. It feels so much better. Just like the AK in every single game known to existence. It's all around just a good, reliable gun. That's gonna be, I still would not prefer it over some of these other ones, but that's a C tier. The Benelli, this gun, as a first starting gun, just like the Scar, it's actually crazy. Because people like level 1 through 5 are just going to run around with this thing on like Tundra or the really small maps. And you will obliterate if you have like half a brain cell. As long as you hit them, like this will basically one shot. Like if you hit all of the pellets in the head. And it's all around just a really good gun. That's an A. Now the Famas. I was honestly surprised with this one. It was really good. Like, this one's definitely my favorite of all the ARs. and it's crazy. This gun shreds. Like with now that they're sights, I feel I can actually aim with it other than the bulky iron sights that it has originally. The gun, it just feels good. It's good. That's basically the basis you need to get from this. That is gonna be an S tier for me. Now the G36C, like no words need to be said about this thing. It's a good fire rate, good damage, good ammo. This gun is nuts. Every single sweaty tryhard in this game is either using this or the Tapper, and it obliterates. It will shred many opponents. I'm not just gonna drone on and on about this thing, but it's one of the best ARs. I still prefer the Famas though, but that's another S tier. The G3A4, it's really good, except for the fact that it's got a low ammo count. So if you can hit all of your shots, I think it's like a 2-shot headshot if I'm correct, you will obliterate with this thing. Like I don't know, I'm not a huge fan of it just because of the ammo count, but I can still admit it's a really good gun. So that's gonna be an A tier. So the M240, it's the exact same gun as the PKM. Like I'll show the stats right here on screen. They're the same thing except the M240 is 1 more damage. But the only difference is that the PKM is free and the M240 costs like 8k coins. I'm not 100% sure. But it's the exact same thing, just with it's high hip fire accuracy, okay damage. You can just sit there and just spray. It's alright. That's gonna be a B. Now the MP5 is basically the same as the AK-12, same with the M240, the PKM, except it also just has 1 more damage, and it's also a starter weapon basically because it costs 600 credits. It's not okay. It's not like the greatest, but it's okay for starting, and that's why I'm gonna put it at C tier. Now some of my friends, they keep asking me, is the MP7 good? And I'm like, yeah, it's good. It is definitely one of my favorite weapons. I've only used it like just a little bit, not very much. Only got like a couple kills. And I really like it because it just fits the fast-paced gameplay that Energy Assault gives you. So I can push up, get a couple kills, reload, and just keep going in because it's with a fast reload time and everything. So I'm gonna put that in S tier because it's my absolute favorite gun in this game so far. The P90, it's alright. It's got very low damage right next to the Chris, but it's got a high ammo capacity, so you can actually spray down enemies, and you won't have to reload often. But I don't like it. I like using a brain, so I'm gonna put that at C tier. PKM, just like I said before, the exact same as the M240, except it's a starter weapon and has 1 less damage. They're essentially the same gun. Like when I used them, I did not notice a difference. I'm not gonna sit there and explain the exact same weapon a second time, so it's gonna be at a B tier. The sawed-off, like it's too good. It's a starter weapon. It's the same price as the MP5 being 600 credits. It's got the most damage in the game. Only 4 bullets, but because of the shotgun buff, reloading is a lot faster now. It's super good. It's got crazy range just like the A12, but it doesn't have that ammo capacity. But I would say just because it's a starter, that's gonna be an S tier. Scorpion is actually really good, except the problem is that it's behind a paywall. And of course, I did buy the VIP pass because I wanted to get a full understanding of all the weapons. So I've got a decent amount of kills with it, and it's really good. Except I haven't seen it very often. Out of all of my games and all my time played, I've seen it maybe like 4 or 5 times. But it's good. It's alright. I would put it in A tier, but it's gonna have to be a B just because of that paywall. Now everyone says shotguns are really overpowered in this game, but the Spaz is just a polar opposite to that. It just doesn't even compare to the other godly 3. And it's got good damage, it's got okay fire rate, but it just doesn't feel well. It's really not that good compared. So I'm gonna put that at a D tier. The Taver, it's the gun for all the sweats, except if you're a rich kid. Like, the gun's, it's really good. It's got a good fire rate. Everyone's been talking about it, but I'm putting it only at an A tier. All right, now before you go down in the comments, and just to get mad at me for putting it there, it's just the aura around it. Like, no one wants to be a Taver kid, you know? It's not good. I don't want that. I don't want that feeling. Like the one time that I used it when I was trying to record with it, I already got called the Taver kid. It's not a good feeling. So that's gonna be an A tier. Now the UMP, or the UMP for all you nerds, it's actually kind of good. It surprised me a tiny bit, just like the Famas, except it's not as good as the Famas. And you know, it kind of shreds dough. So that's gonna be an A tier for me. The Uzi, I mean, it's alright. I'm not the biggest fan of it. It's kind of inaccurate, so you can't really shoot at people from a decent range. Like, you have to be up in their face, but you will shred them up if you're in their face. So I'm not the biggest fan of it. It is decent though. It will compete against the other weapons, so I'm gonna put it at B tier. Now the very last gun, because we're not doing pistols like I said at the start, is the VSS. It's not very, I liked it before it got essentially nerfed, but it had really good damage, and its recoil was really controllable. But now the recoil is super high, and you have to use it like an actual sniper, which that's not the way I liked using it. But now it's not very good anymore, so I put it at a D tier. It was really bugged too when I was trying to, like, the stats, they kept changing every time I relaunched the game. Like, as you're seeing from that clip here, like, the scope was all bugged for a bit. I'm pretty sure it's fixed now. I just wanted to say that, but that's gonna be a D tier. So that was all of the primaries in Energy Assault. This game it's still relatively new and is most likely gonna have more guns added into the future, and I will try to put out videos on each of the new weapons as they come out. I made this tier list myself, and if you want to try it out, it's linked in the description. Just in case any developers are watching, I highly doubt it, but I would just buff how fast healing is, considering it's very, very slow. And I would also add knife skins, because I really want to pull up with a butterfly knife or a karambit like in CS, like flexing. Other than that, I feel the game is really good. This game has a lot of potential. It can go very far if they make the right choices. Alright, so make sure to like and subscribe and comment any criticism, as this is my first time actually putting decent effort into a video. I will have my socials down there too. Make sure to follow those. I'll have updates on things like Twitter. I also stream on Twitch. But alright, well, that's it for this one. Later.